You know, I'm wearing leather pants right now.
Hey!
Because it is time for Roske on Politics.
Let's get the circles cut
They're not
out.
that
Anyway,
comfortable, are they?
back to our show. Politics.
Hey!
So, Boston Globe. First of all, our thoughts with the folks in California, San Bernardino. We have good friends, one of which is a teacher. She was on lockdown yesterday. So, thoughts with the folks in San Bernardino. Another senseless killing. Let's stop the madness. Back to politics. Boston Globe just 2 days ago put out a new poll. Quinnipiac put out a new poll, national poll. What they said is, quote, Trump is clearly in first place. The lineup right now is on the GOP side for this poll. Trump's at 27%. Rubio is in second place with 17. Carson right behind in third. Tied for third, Ted Cruz. This whole article, Boston Globe put out, no mention even of Jeb Bush. So I honestly didn't follow up to see where he's at. I think he's like 6th or 7th, but not sure. On the Democrat side, it was interesting because it made a note of, in a different part of the poll, both Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders on a head-to-head would actually beat Donald Trump, according to this poll, which I thought was interesting.
But that doesn't really reflect what's happening here in Iowa, because I believe Trump is dropping in the numbers here a little bit. Ted Cruz, who's trying to cover every 99 county, is kind of going
Cruz is climbing. Cruz is climbing. He might be doing the Rick Santorum, although Rick Santorum peaked really close to the caucus. Like literally, if you talk to Ann Selzer about the Santorum peak, it was 6 days before the caucuses, and he was pulling single digits, and then he jumped to 10%, and her and a bunch of other people thought once he got to 10%, he'd take right off, and sure enough, he did. I'm actually sitting down with Rick Santorum tomorrow, I'm sorry, for a whole half hour for next week's show. But since we're talking about polling, last week's show was all about Republicans, so this week I thought I'd show a couple clips of a couple Democrats, and then Michael Gerson, who was in town with the One Foundation. He's a former speechwriter. He actually wrote the part of the speech, The Axis of Evil. He came up with that for a bunch of other things. Writes for Washington Post. But the first video we're going to show today is Robert Becker is one of the chief strategists for the Iowa campaign for Bernie Sanders. This is he and I from the spin room after the Democrat debate. This is Robert Becker. He's a part of the Bernie Sanders campaign. You guys got to be feeling good.
Yeah, I mean, we dominated tonight. We feel like the entire debate, the policy ideas were being dictated by Bernie Sanders, not only dictating the debate, but dictating the entire election. And, you know, right from the beginning, with foreign policy, which is supposed to be not his strong suit according to conventional wisdom, the entire segment was about the wisdom of the Iraq war vote. I think what Bernie proved tonight is that he has a judgment to be commander-in-chief, and he has the, sort of the resolve to not only defend this country, but bring people together to find solutions to terrorism.
Also, free college got a lot of play tonight from all the candidates. That's something that started with Senator Sanders. Where'd the idea come from?
Well, it's been a sort of his core belief, and as he was saying, it's 2015. That college degree, especially for young kids that may have economic reasons why they might not even achieve that dream. It's a big difference between the plans. He believes that public colleges should be free, and that people who study hard should have that opportunity. And it was a big one of the turning points in here tonight.
You have been working on the Iowa Sanders campaign for quite some time now. How are the Iowans receiving your message?
The more they hear from Bernie Sanders, the more they like him. We've gone from 0 to 40 in a very short period of time here, last 4 or 5 months. We've got another 80 days or so to go with the caucus. We're going to keep going out there and talking to Iowans, taking questions, and sharing Bernie's sort of vision for the future of this country.
Is there going to be I've started to see some television spots. Is there going to be some more of that traditional campaigning as well as we go forward?
Yes. All summer long we were outspent $2.4 million to 0 on television. So television helps. But we're going to keep doing the hard work, the grassroots organizing, the type of work that Iowans expect. We've got young organizers out there and Iowans that are joining this campaign. We're knocking on doors. We're doing the town meetings, and we're going to slug it out for the next 80 days and be competitive on February.
So that's Robert Becker. Amazing backstory. I just happen to know Robert just a little bit, and he actually was doing humanitarian and democracy outreach in Egypt, ended up going to trial. They put him up, and then when he flew back to America, he said no, on his own dime he flew back to sit in the trial with the Egyptians that he had brought into this program. Robert Becker is an amazing person. He is working on the Sanders campaign right now, so but I'm just saying, on a separate note, amazing story for Robert Becker. Real quick before we're out of time here, 2 other folks I want to show videos of. They're going to play back to back here. One is Senator Amy Klobuchar from the great state of Minnesota, just north of us. And Michael Gerson is going to come in right after this. You're going to see both of these on Sunday's show. Michael is talking about the One Foundation, which was started by Bono. He also writes for Washington Post, former presidential speechwriter. And Amy Klobuchar, her and I from the Spin Room again. Let's take a look. Here with the fantastic Senator Amy Klobuchar from the great state of Minnesota. How are you tonight?
Well, I'm great, Brent. Thank you. What a great debate here, and Iowa must be proud. And I've also heard some rumors that your team may be beating the Gophers tonight.
Well, there you go.
But I'm just like going with it, but it's sad for us.
So we're here at Drake University, the Democrat debate. Have you endorsed in this race?
Yes, I'm supporting Secretary Clinton.
And why is that?
Well, I think she has the kind of strength that we need as a leader. As she pointed out, President is also a commander-in-chief. I also think that she is someone that has shown really great depth in the economic proposals she's made. One thing that kind of gets lost in this is she has repeatedly talked about how we need an economy that works for everyone, but for the long term, not just each quarter with these corporations. And she's put out a really detailed plan about how to focus with changing the capital gains tax so companies have much more of an incentive to focus on jobs for the future and the long term and not just individual quarters. And I think you saw some of that discussion today. You saw her putting out her plans on pharmaceutical companies, which in my mind have been, I'm leading the bill with Senator McCain on reimportation of drugs from Canada, safe drugs. I'm leading the bill with Senator Grassley of Iowa.
There you go.
A proposal that Senator Clinton supports, which is about making sure you can't have these pay-for-delay deals where you've got...
I don't know what that is.
Really an unbelievable thing. You should ask Grassley about it too.
I will.
Where you have the big pharmaceutical companies are actually paying generic drug companies to keep their competitive products off the market. The estimates are that will bring in, if we get rid of those kind of deals, it'll bring in about $3 billion to taxpayers over 10 years, and the same amount for consumers, because of course they're paying these co-pays that are too high. So Senator Grassley and I are working to advance that, and Senator Clinton is supportive of that proposal.
One of the very complex issues that came up tonight, the refugee crisis in lieu of the recent Paris attacks. You are a sitting U.S. Senator. What should we be doing with the refugee crisis?
Well, I think, first of all, the answer, of course, is to get a solution to Syria, and that is very complex. I hope that, given what happened in Paris with what ISIC, the havoc they've been wreaking, the people they've been killing, the women they've been raping, my hope is that will be at the top of the agenda for the G20, so that's the number one way you fix it. In terms of our country bringing in refugees, I thought Secretary Clinton did a very good job of explaining how the vetting process is very important. It can take a while, and that's frustrating, but it's really important. And I've always supported that process, so that's a piece of it as well, and that's different than what you're seeing in some countries.
And finally, you're from Minnesota, but you serve in D.C. Do you think the District of Columbia should be made into a state?
Well, I've always believed they should have voting rights, and that they should be able to have representation in Congress.
Now, I was doing some research about the One Foundation. It was an interesting slant where it says that it's not just foreign interests, but this actually benefits America, groups like One getting involved. I think the line was, if the State Department doesn't do a good job, I have to buy more bullets, was in your... So talk about that. How does the work of not necessarily just One, but also State Department, how does it benefit back to America?
Well, if you talk with military people about development assistance and global health assistance, they think that this is essential to prevent the need for military intervention. This is a case where we build hope, where we build goodwill in key places in the world, where we encourage education, where we encourage development. And that is really very much in American interests, to replace despair and hopelessness with hope and progress. And when we do that, I see that in Africa all the time. I go there 3 or 4 times a year. I see how America is viewed in places where millions of people have been saved from death because of the AIDS initiative, where millions of children have been saved because of an initiative like the President's Malaria Initiative. And you know what? When you save people's children, they don't hate you. I mean, I think that this is a key insight. Now, it's not a one-to-one sort of thing. It's building an atmosphere of hope and a goodwill towards the United States in key parts of the world. And it's been effective, and you can see the results.
You'll see more of that Sunday with NPR's Tamara Keith. You're going to see more of Senator Amy Klobuchar, Representative Javier Becerra, and Representative Sheila Jackson-Lee. That's this Sunday, Roske on Politics.
All right, what's the bat time?
9:30 Channel 5 on this station at 11:30 and at Channel 19 at 5:30.
There you go. Thank you, Roske.